of military age who are fleeing the country now. They don't want to be able to fight for this. So he's got problems. He thinks he's just going to bleed us.
Okay, we'll see how the story plays out. It has taken a decisive turn with the annexation of these 4 regions today. How may the world and Ukraine in particular respond to it? I guess the future course of the war depends on that. Thanks very much to all our guests. Mario Shakil with News Epicenter in a moment.
Can be a wild card entry. A possible name is Mallikarjun Kharge. What works for Mallikarjun Kharge? He's a veteran leader who knows the party, the Congress in and out. What goes against him is that he doesn't have any pan-India appeal, particularly in the Hindi belt. What works for him is that he has served as a minister during the UPA. He has been leading the Congress in Parliament since 2014. What goes against him again is that he is 80 years old and will not be really able to provide that necessary boost that the Congress needs at this point. The race to become the Congress Party's next president is between Mallikarjun Kharge and Shashi Tharoor. Kharge is the Gandhi camp's candidate for the post. Moreover, he has also got the backing of the members of the G23. His list of supporters also includes Digvijaya Singh, who withdrew from the race this morning, as well as Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, who was once upon a time front-runner for the top job. Remember, Gehlot backed out after apologizing to the Gandhis for the rebellion in Rajasthan over Pilot's possible elevation to the post of the Chief Minister. Today was the last day to file nominations to become the party president. The focus will now move towards October 8th, which is the last day to withdraw nominations. On October 17th, voting will take place, and on October 19th, the name of the new president of the Congress party will be announced. The momentum is with Mallikarjun Kharge, which begs the question, is this election a no contest? Joining me shortly on the show is one of the contenders of this top job, Congress MP Shashi Tharoor. But first, here's what happened today.
It's the most expected twist in the race for Congress's next president. There won't be a Gandhi in the top post for the first time in more than 20 years, but the Parivar has made sure their man is in the running. Mallikarjun Kharge, leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha and a through and through Gandhi loyalist, filed his nomination today.
मुझे जो सहकार मिला उनको, उसलिए उनका फिर एक बार मैं आभारी हूं। कांग्रेस पार्टी के जो उसूल हैं, जो आइडियोलॉजी है, उस आइडियोलॉजी के साथ मैं बचपन से जुड़ा हूं।
From the looks of it, Congress ka haath is with Kharge. Apart from getting the Gandhis' blessings, Kharge walked into the AICC with signatures of 30 proposers, who were some of the most prominent names in the party, including Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, who was the first choice of the Gandhis for the top post up until his rebellion last week. Another proposer was Digvijaya Singh, who up until the morning of the nomination had declared that he too was in the race.
उनसे मैंने पूछा था कि आप अगर फॉर्म भर रहे हो तो मैं नहीं भरूंगा। उनका इरादा है फॉर्म भरने का, तो मैंने कहा कि ठीक है, मैं आपका प्रस्तावक बनूंगा।
Kharge will be going up against Shashi Tharoor, a 3-time member of parliament and a former union minister. Unlike Kharge, Tharur wasn't flanked by the who's who of Congress when he filed his nomination papers.
I was not prepared for the extraordinarily enthusiastic collection of Congress workers. I have a vision for the Congress, for the internal reorganization of the Congress, which I will be sending to every one of the 9,100 and odd delegates.
A Gandhi loyalist versus a member of the G23. Are the odds stacked against Shashi Tharoor?
Kharge ji will be elected. In fact, my appeal is that he should be elected unanimously.
Okay, you want Mr. Tharoor to be withdrawing from the contest?
I think it would be in the fitness of things.
Is this a democratic election to lead a party that is going through its worst ever crisis, or just a friendly fight? And at the end of the day, will the next Congress chief simply be a proxy of the Gandhi family?
Now, because you have entered the contest for presidential elections of your party formally, what is making you contest? Because you, along with Manish Tiwari, Karti Chidambaram, have been demanding transparency in this entire election process. I've been following your tweets. You have been consistently raising questions about this entire election. Let me ask you a direct question. Why are you contesting?
Well, I think that though the party presidential election is an internal exercise, it also represents an opportunity to ignite widespread public interest in the Congress and to galvanize our party workers at the same time. So to my mind, we just can't continue with business as usual. We've been kind of stuck at the ceiling of 19% of the vote in 2 successive elections. We need to try something different, constitute a fresh appeal to the public, to those who drifted away from us in the last 2 elections, and bring them back to us. And to my mind, Shri Rahul Gandhi was right when he said that a democratic contest will only strengthen the party. And I do have some ideas to reform and re-energize the party. I'm planning to give a manifesto to my voters once I've submitted, I've just submitted the form, so I will be doing so shortly, in which I will recommend that we need to do certain things to re-energize the party after our recent setbacks. Decentralizing authority is a key part of it within the party, increasing consultative mechanisms at all levels, and giving our karyakartas more access to the leadership that affects their daily professional lives. So all of this is something we will absolutely have to do. And as far as why I'm contesting, if you believe strongly enough in something, you've got to be prepared to stick your neck out for it. And that's the approach that's guided me, frankly, in both personal and political life. So I think it's worth doing, and I certainly hope that this contest will benefit the party. Digvijaya Singh came to see me on Thursday when he decided to contest as well. And we embraced each other as friends and brothers in the party, and we said that this is not going to be a battle between rivals, it's going to be a friendly contest between colleagues to capture the affections or the votes of our own colleagues, of our own party workers. That's what this is all about.
Okay, let me give you some statistics here. From 49.1% votes in 1984 Lok Sabha to just 19.7% in the last Lok Sabha elections. Now that you're contesting and you are saying that you will be presenting a manifesto of your ideas to the 9,100 voters who formed this electoral college, Dr. Tharoor, give me 4 reasons, 3 to 4 reasons that you think went wrong with your party. Where did your party go wrong?
Look, Mari, I've literally not had a chance to yet get the message out to my own voters. This is a manifesto directed at them. It's about what the voters, who are the workers of the party, want to see. So it would not be fair for me to go public before I've gone private, before I've gone to them, sent them something directly. I'm sure it'll eventually become public. These things do. But I've broadly given you a clue. It's about decentralizing and empowering our party workers at the lower levels, but it's much more detailed than that. I have about 10 points I'll be putting out. And I hope that in the process we will find a responsive echo from our party.
Tell me, what is Dr. Shashi Tharoor's roadmap for the revival of the Congress?
So, first of all, we have to strengthen our own party, and that includes massive work on the grassroots levels. One of the things I've been impressed by the party in my own state is the ethos of politics as social work between elections. So we're not just a party that comes to life every 5 years to fight elections. in between, our party workers are there with the people and helping them in all sorts of mundane ways. I mean, an old lady doesn't know how to fill in a ration card application or a EPL certificate form, a party worker helps. Somebody else's house is broken into by a gunda, but the local cops won't note the complaint because the gunda is connected to the ruling party. So the party worker goes and finds out, calls me as the MP who's not part of the ruling party and says, hey, will you talk to the commissioner or somebody high up and get them to come and investigate this. All these are things that have actually happened I'm talking about. That kind of thing where every time in between elections, the party is present in the daily lives of ordinary people. That kind of politics the Congress used to be very good at, and in many parts of the country we're not doing. I'd like to see more of that happening. I think certainly we need to turn then back to the people and mount a robust fight against the evident deficiencies of the BJP's economic governance, the rank unemployment, the issues that in fact we've been raising in Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra, of unemployment, of high inflation, of faltering economic growth. All of these things also need to be brought once again front and square. We can't just sit back and let the BJP have a free ride. And then as far as the other aspects are concerned, we've seen disastrous decisions by the government that have actually affected the daily lives of people. Demonetization was one example of it. But day after day, we're hearing great speeches and very poor implementation. We need to constantly point this out. We need to convert Parliament into a truly meaningful debating forum where we challenge the government on issue after issue using the parliamentary rules, not by disruption but by debate. And I think we should also take the government on in public, on the streets, when the issues so warrant, and we should do more of that as well. I think the Yatra has proven that there's tremendous appeal when the Congress party hits the ground walking.
Dr. Tharoor, spotlight is on the Yatra, and the face of this Yatra is Rahul Gandhi. Then anybody who becomes the Congress president, what role will he play? The reason why I'm asking this question is because for the longest time it is believed that Congress party cannot exist without Gandhis at the helm. How will you really break that image?
Well, I certainly hope that the Gandhis will remain inextricably attached to the party, because I think our DNA as a party and theirs as a family is completely tied together. I hope the Gandhis will not be sort of expecting to disappear overnight. First of all, they may well have earned a rest, but it'll be foolish of the party to let go of the incredible advantages that they have brought to the Congress party. Their ethos as a family, as individuals, their undoubted political charisma, their appeal to the public, which is again on display during the Yatra. All of these things are assets for the party. And I think that they will continue, I hope very much, to be involved in the party, but very much in cooperation with the new president, whoever he or she may be. Secondly, I think that if they wanted to continue running the party, they wouldn't have held an election. And they would just have managed, if Rahul Gandhi had simply withdrawn his letter to the working committee, he'd have been president again anytime 2019 onwards. So I think it's very clear that they're genuinely anxious to step back. And so rather than implying that there's going to be some sort of remote control operating there, I think we should just hope that they will do more than they say they are going to do to be involved in a party that certainly needs their wonderful image to work with us.
And given the latest fiasco that happened in Rajasthan and Mr. Ashok Gehlot opting out of this the race for the Congress president, one view certainly is what legitimacy and authority can Congress president really have when you cannot really decide the chief minister of a state? So that entire episode has actually raised several questions on this entire exercise.
No, first of all, I think the legitimacy comes from the process of election. There is no party in India which has had such an open and public election to elect its president. And if the Congress does that, it seems to me that the Congress is setting an example, throwing the sunlight of inner party democracy on our own work, that others should actually applaud and learn from. I think it will be very healthy if all other parties follow our example. So on that one, the legitimacy of the president should not be doubted once that president has been elected. On the question of Ashok Gehlot, who is a dear friend and a respected senior colleague of our party, all I can say is that if you're contesting an election, you're prepared to take on whoever comes down the road. If it was Mr. Gehlot, if it's Mr. Digvijaya Singh today, if it's somebody else tomorrow, we'll just have to face it. And I think that's fine, because this is not a battle between rivals. It's a very friendly contest between colleagues, and that spirit that we are entering all of this. And as far as I'm concerned, it's welcome that the Congress President, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, have all said to both Digvijaya Sahab and me that the Nehru-Gandhi family welcomes these elections. They'd like to see a diverse field of candidates contesting, and they're neither directly nor indirectly backing any one candidate. I think that's great. And we should go ahead in that spirit and see what comes out of the result.
And that brings me to my final and last question, Dr. Tharoor. How do you think a non-Hindi speaking president will fit in a role of a national party of a country where over 43% people speak Hindi?
देखिए, अगर हमारी राजनीति करने की जरूरत है तो आपको हिंदी बोलना ही पड़ेगा. तो नॉन हिंदी स्पीकर को बहुत बहुत बड़े कठिनाई होंगे. फिर भी हमारे देश, हमारी राजनीति में आपको पता है कि कभी-कभी बहुत महत्वपूर्ण नेता भी थे जो हिंदी पब्लिकली नहीं बोलते थे. आपको नाम पता है, मैं नाम नहीं इस्तेमाल करना चाहता हूं, लेकिन मैं उनमें से एक नहीं हूं. मैं तो हिंदी बोलता हूं और मैं तो हर रोज संसद से निकाल के साउंड बाइट देता हूं हिंदी चैनलों पे. इसलिए मेरे ख्याल में आपके दर्शकों को अच्छी तरह पता है कि मैं हिंदी बोल सकता हूं.
All right, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, always a pleasure to speak to you. All the best for this contest. Let me bring in my guests now. Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Shama Mohammed, national spokesperson of the Congress party, Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, author, Neerja Chaudhary is a columnist, and we also have Professor Sanjay Kumar, he is the professor at CSDS. Dr. Shama Mohammed, it appears at the moment that this is more of a selection in the name of an election. 80-year-old Mr. Kharge is a loyalist of the family and an official candidate who has the blessings of the family. Then what is really the purpose of this election?
Maria, there is no point coming on a debate when you have a preconceived notion. Mr. Madhusudan Mistry has clearly said today that there is no official candidate from the party. So each one it's their own wish. Whoever wants to fight this election, they are most welcome to fight. Who wants to withdraw, they are most welcome to withdraw. This is the only party which has a transparent way of doing things. We are democratic, and we also have an independent election authority. I mean, we are giving out names of the proposers of each candidate. Which other party, Maria, does it? I just heard 2 days ago that JP Nadda's term has been extended. I mean, there is no election there. In 2014, a person who was facing criminal charges when the CBI was still investigating him for fake encounters was made the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party. I mean, why not question there when we are having an independent election out here? They're just extending terms. And then I heard you asking that, you know, Shashi Tharoor or Mallikarjun Kharge, I heard, that does not have a pan-Indian presence. I mean, Mallikarjun Kharge has won elections 10 times consecutively. He was the PCC president of Karnataka. He was a leader of opposition in Karnataka. I'm not questioning that. He was a leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. And one more thing.
You can ask your karyakartas in Madhya Pradesh, UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, and ask them who is Mallikarjun Kharge, and then come up with an answer to that. And that was a SWOT analysis.
Yeah, and just JP Nadda have a pan-Indian presence.
I'm not saying that either.
I can go to Karnataka, I can go to Kerala, I can go to Andhra and ask who is JP Nadda. They don't know, and nobody knows JP Nadda in Kerala. Let me tell you that. Nobody knows him in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
So you can't separate the South from the North. We are India. This sort of thing about putting down the South
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
I mean, we are
all Indians. It is about South versus North here. That's a very skewed, argument that you're trying to build here. There's no difference.
That's what you are pointing at, Maria Shakir.
Not at all.
JP Nadda is not known in the South.
I'm not saying that Mr. Kharge is not known in other parts only because he's from Karnataka. So don't try and take this debate in a direction of your, in a direction which is convenient for you.
No, but JP Nadda is not known in the South.
Point being made by Shama is particularly, recently we did hear that Mr. Nadda's tenure has been extended. Was there an election for that extension? It wasn't, right? Tuhin?
Well, good evening, Maria. Yeah, I'm telling you, the Congress, the reason why Mr. Nadda, if at all he gets if he gets another tenure as president, the reason would be that if you look at the letter of Ghulam Nabi Azad, Rahul Gandhi has lost 39 of the last 49 elections, whereas our last two presidents have won 39 out of the 49. So if the sheer ability to lead a party of nearly 18 crore people, I think that's what should matter. Whether the person is nominated or elected does not matter. In the last 24 years, the Congress has had two presidents, both belonging to the family. The BJP has had 10. But if you look at the imprint of BJP, the BJP's imprint has increased 10 times over. The Congress's imprint has reduced 10 times over. So let them wax eloquent on the process of BJP president. The fact is, you have seen the way we brought about leadership changes in Gujarat.
That is because the leadership, the footprints of the BJP has increased because of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You cannot give credit to any other political leader of your party because of that. And you made leadership changes, understanding fully well that chief ministers don't win elections. It is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's charisma which is winning elections for the BJP. And that is the reason why you can have chief minister in any state of your choice. It doesn't matter whether it is Biplab Dev or Manak Saha. It doesn't matter whether it's Vijay Rupani or Bhupendra Patel. Because it is Prime Minister Modi who is winning elections for the BJP. Let's be clear about it.
No. So in that case, the Congress should be all the more concerned about having a candidate who can give some sort of a contest to BJP under Modi.
Okay.
But instead they go for a psycho-fancy fest.
Okay.
They look for... No, let me complete, please. The two leaders who have opted out, Ashok Gehlot has to publicly apologize to Sonia Gandhi. Digvijaya Singh, who opted out, issues a statement. Nothing can make me compromise on my loyalty to the family.
What contest will we see in 2024 if it is Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge versus Prime Minister Modi?
Is that the question? Is that question to me?
Yes.
Yeah, so it is our call that who becomes the president of our party. Of course, we admire Mr. Kharge. He has won elections, 10 consecutive elections, and it is now. Why should we put it as? Isn't it JP Nadda who is the president of the party? So why is it Kharge against Modi? It should be Kharge against JP Nadda. I don't get what you're trying to say. So again, what do you mean by when CLP leaders are not even allowed, the MLAs are not even allowed to elect their CM. CMs are changed. Yadurappa thrown out, Bomai just brought in. Rupani thrown out, Patel brought in. I've never seen 3 CMs in Uttarakhand. What is happening in the Bharatiya Janata Party? Where is democracy in the Bharatiya Janata Party? We have a democratic election where Maria Shakil, you're able to discuss it on television.
Yes.
We haven't heard discussions of any other party's election on television like this for the last couple of days.
Okay. So it shows that there are interests, and rightly so, on what is happening in the Congress sphere, and you should be happy that Congress is being discussed the manner in which it is being. Neerja Chaudhary, this surprise entry, it was always known that there would be an entry in the form of someone who will be backed by the Gandhis. This entry in the form of an octogenarian in Mallikarjun Kharge.
Look, Maria, the first thing I will watch for is, does Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge go to 12 Tughlaq Lane to discuss issues, or to Lodi Estate, Priyanka Vadra's residence,
or to 10 Janpath?
10 Janpath, or do Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra and Sonia Gandhi come to the party office to meet with Mr. Kharge to discuss party issues? That's the first thing I will watch for.
Okay.
To know how much of a rubber stamp or not. The Gandhis are an integral part of the Congress affairs, decision-making processes. They cannot be ignored. But how much of importance is given to the new president, will determine his autonomy, persona, perception about him. Now, he's been chosen primarily because of loyalty, Dalit, and he belongs to Karnataka, where very critical elections are due for the Congress. So, but the important thing for the Congress today is not who will be the face against Narendra Modi, because the entire opposition does not have a face against Narendra Modi. What will be important to see is how does the new president revitalize the Congress organization at the grassroots level? How do they motivate the cadre, enthuse the cadre, bring in new energy, new ideas, out of the box thinking, a passion to win? How does the new president do that? Because that is where things will happen. And how does the new president reach out to the state satraps, the opposition leaders, to forge a broader opposition unity? Those are the two critical areas the new chief will have to address.
Okay, Sanjay Kumar, do you think Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge will be able to do that? Enthuse the cadres of the Congress party and also reach out to the opposition for a larger coalition?
I don't think that Mallikarjun Kharge had some magic medicine that once he becomes the president of the Congress party, he would give this medicine to all the Congress workers and they will all get enthused. I think party has been what would enthuse the worker. The victory of the Congress party in few elections, whether it is the party is headed by Mallikarjun Kharge or someone else. So the victory of the party, the success in electoral battle, that is going to give new lease of life to the party and that will enthuse the party workers. Only having a new president in the name of Mallikarjun Kharge, I don't think that's going to help the party in motivating the party workers
Okay, Rashid, particularly talking about, because Nirja is highlighting the loyalist aspect here. A loyalist who's a veteran, versus someone who is a member of G23 and a young guard, I would say also. Will this make Sonia Gandhi stronger? And will this be seen as a second act of renunciation?
Not at all, because the political leadership continues to be in the hands of Gandhis. What Gandhis can do, it's a kind of litmus test, because since they are not in the fray and there is a perception that Mr. Kharge is a proxy of sorts of Gandhi's or Tel Janpath, they must come out and make public pronouncement that they are not, favoring one or the other. And that the PCC delegates, 9,000 of them, are free to choose. And then let us see what kind of outcome. The outcome may still be in favor of Mr. Kharge, but if there is a 20% or more traction for Shashi Tharoor, it will be making a commentary that the Congress actually is looking for a change from inside. But will Gandhis do this? I have my own doubts.
Okay.
That is the problem.
Okay, so, here is Shama Mohammed of the Congress party saying that Mr. Mistry has already said that there is no official candidate. Then why are we assuming that Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge is an official candidate? When he had 30 proposers, all of them Gandhi loyalists and also a significant number of G23 members. Rashid?
So that is what I'm saying. It gave a kind of suspicion or indication that actually Kharge's candidature has a backing, and the manner in which Mr. Digvijaya was kind of edged out, elbowed out actually. So this indicates that Gandhis have some interest in Mr. Kharge. Mr. Kharge was such an outstanding person as his CV reads to be. Why is he not being projected as a chief ministerial candidate in Karnataka? Why is he was not brought in the first place as Congress president ahead of Mr. Ashok Gehlot? So these are the questions which are being
Dr. Shama Mohammed will respond to that. Shama, the point here is that if the Gandhis have nothing to do with this, that they want this entire process to be transparent and they are being neutral in this exercise, then why aren't they coming out and saying so? Because there is enough indication, the palace intrigue is only building, that the fog is only getting thicker.
I don't understand what you mean by that. I think Mr. Mistry has made it clear. I don't think Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes out and says everything. There are people who speak on their behalf, and I think Mr. Mistry said very clearly that there is no official candidate. And I recall 3 to 4 days back, even Mr. Jairam Ramesh has said the same thing, that there is no official candidate. And I also recall that when some spokesperson said something against Dr. Tharur, there was an official statement from our party saying that nobody is supposed to speak against anyone or any delegate who wants to be a candidate, because this is a free and fair elections. Our own party people were pulled up for speaking against, I think, Dr. Tharur. So this is the kind of democracy we have. So that came from the top, from Mrs. Gandhi itself, that she wants this to be a very free and fair election. And nobody is supposed to speak against a particular delegate, a particular contestant, for example, Dr. Tharur. So, I mean, that itself shows, Maria, that no official candidate from the party is there. It is each one's right. They have a right to have any proposal
then
they want to have.
Then why are Rashid, Neerja and Sanjay Kumar and all of us seeing this image? Just look at this image that has come from the Congress headquarters.
That's what.
This is being seen as official candidate. And Rashid, why are you seeing Mr. Kharge as an official candidate then?
So, can I answer? Can I give you the answer for that?
Yes, please. Rashid
Maria,
will be able to respond.
Why do I feel?
Yes.
No, can I just respond with one liner? Okay. Why do I feel and the rest of India feels JP Nadda is a rubber stamp of Mr. Modi and Amit Shah?
Okay, Rashid.
So what about that? I mean, I know that he's a rubber stamp. So
Rashid, was there some kind of tactical retreat?
It's a democracy.
Yes. Tuhin, first you respond to that, and then I bring in Rashid. Yes.
You know, it's very amusing to see the Congress.
Why didn't you elect?
You know, give
why
us
have you taken Nitin Gadkari out of the parliamentary
party board? No, let me answer. You can't go on and on.
Why did you take out Mr.
You know, it's very
out of the parliamentary party board?
Okay, now please keep quiet and have the patience to hear.
Please answer
You know,
those
it's
questions.
very amusing to see the Congress wax eloquent on democracy. The Congress, if you read the Congress Constitution, Article 19 of the Constitution mandates that 20 out of 23 CWC members, 12 have to be elected. Can she name 12 elected members of CWC? You don't follow democracy at all. Forget, I'm giving you a small example.
I dare you to elect your president.
Allow me to complete, please. Have the basic courtesy.
Elect your president.
In 2017,
why haven't you elected the president?
In 2017, the district. Allow me to complete my point. Don't barge in like this. Have the basic courtesy.
But you're not answering the question. Have an election.
Yes. In 2017,
Tuhin, you're not answering the question. You can't just keep going on blabbering.
What?
Okay.
No, what question?
But you have to answer why is there no election in your party?
Shama, you have made your point.
Why is there no
Shama, you have made your point.
Shama,
you have made your point.
Listen to him. Member.
Okay.
The mere point, no, please allow me to complete this Congress behavior of barging in. I'll answer all the questions. Whether our president, is nominated or elected, should have nothing to, the Congress should have nothing to do with it. But fact is that at the end of the day, all of them have delivered for the party, and at the end of the day, all of them have enjoyed unanimous support of the party. That's point number one. Point number two, you talk about democracy.
So
in 2017, I'm giving you a small example of the grassroots. I'm giving you a small example.
You have no business questioning us, Tuhin.
District President of the Congress very affectionately referred to Rahul Gandhi as Pappu Ji on a WhatsApp chat of his party. He was immediately sacked from his party. So forget giving us sermons of democracy. You can't even name the 12 elected CWC members, which your
leaders are questioned, action
mandates.
is taken also against them. So let's not, try and find difference here. When such act of indiscipline is done by against your party, then you also take action. So let's not go down the path, please.
The way they are giving sermons on democracy doesn't behove the Congress party. That's all I'm saying.
As far as, something really changed in the last 24 hours. Last evening, it was Digvijaya Singh versus Shashi Tharoor. We had broken here that Mr. Kharge will be the surprise wildcard entry. But we really do not sense that it will be leading to an exit of Mr. Digvijaya Singh. It is very clear that Digvijaya Singh did not have the backing of the Gandhis. Will this be seen as tactical retreat on his part?
Yeah, I think so, because he may have hoped with the exit of Mr. Ashok Gehlot, there was a possibility that the Gandhis might back his candidature. He talked about throwing his hat in the ring. But once it was clear that it was going to be Mr. Kharge, then obviously the perception is that Mr. Kharge is really the candidate of the Gandhis, backed by the Gandhis, no matter what Mr. Mistry says. One thing I want to say, one more thing I want to say, and that is, that there is a growing aversion in the country against entitlement. Whether it's political entitlement, bureaucratic entitlement, and the BJP has very systematically pushed Rahul Gandhi in the corner as Pappu, of course, as Prince, of course, but really as a symbol of political entitlement. And that is one of the reasons why he's not had the kind of traction that he had hoped for. Now, why non-Gandhi to be a president? I think it is that your fight, if there is, it's not only the BJP that's saying Congress Mukt Bharat or a Gandhi family Mukt Congress, that idea is resonating in the country. And I think the Gandhi family has to take note of that. I mean, I hope Mr. Kharge is not going to be the image I remember of Mr. Motilal Vora running behind Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. I hope he will have greater
authority,
dignity, authority, autonomy.
Yes. Okay, I have just enough time for Rashid Kidwai and his final words. Rashid, will this really lead to that massive transformation or image building exercise that the Congress is looking at? And particularly that we are looking at an 80-year-old who will be given the task of rejuvenating cadres. Will they be enthused?
I think far from it. It's not at all. If you look at Mr. Kharge's track record in Punjab earlier, where he was said to be, responsible for propping up Charanjit Singh Channi as Chief Minister, and in what happened in Jaipur, where he had gone as an observer and it made a mute spectator of the mockery that was made about CLP leadership, etc. I think that's where Gandhis have a chance. And Maria, I don't agree with all other panelists who are presenting, other than Shama, a very dismal picture. I think Gandhis have because today was the last day of filing nominations. Tomorrow is another day. From tomorrow, electioning starts. And if Gandhis show and make a very public pronouncement that they are not party to either this candidate or that candidate, I think it would show them in a much better light.
Okay, so you are of the opinion that this intrigue should end and that they should publicly come and announce so. Rashid?
Absolutely. And announce so and allow this, because if the party is in, going down, let there be some kind of messaging. I mean, I'm just saying a very kind of utopian scenario.
But it's done through Mr. Mistry. Mr. Mistry is in charge. Mr. Mistry said what they want to say. That's why Mr. Mistry said that. Mr.
All right,
Kadwai.
Dr. Shah
Please try to understand. We don't need to come and give
Sanjay Kumar, Tuhin Sinha, thank you so much for joining us. We're slipping into a short break. After that, a member of G23, former Maharashtra Chief Minister Prithviraj Chavan will be joining me in just a bit. He was present at the time when Mallikarjun Kharge filed his nomination papers. He was also one of the proposers.
Planning to visit relatives and deliver supplies to an area controlled by Russia when it was allegedly hit. Meanwhile, Moscow has annexed 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine today. The move was widely expected following annexation votes that ended on Tuesday in the 4 regions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres stated that the annexation has no place in the modern world, but this follows Russia's pattern of hostile takeovers. Remember, the same thing happened in Crimea in 2014. An explosion at an education institute in Kabul killed over 19 and injured over 30. A witness claimed that a suicide attacker detonated explosives at the center. There were no immediate claims of responsibility for the attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated a slew of projects earlier in his home state. He flagged off Vande Bharat Express. The train will be connecting the state capitals of Gujarat and Maharashtra and will run 6 days a week. On his 2-day visit to Gujarat, he also inaugurated phase 1 of the Ahmedabad Metro Rail project.
देश के 2 दर्जन से ज्यादा शहरों में मेट्रो या तो शुरू हो चुकी है या फिर तेजी से काम चल रहा है। पुराने शहरों में सुधार और उनके विस्तार पर फोकस के साथ-साथ ऐसे नए शहरों का निर्माण भी किया जा रहा है जो ग्लोबल बिजनेस डिमांड के अनुसार तैयार हो रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's convoy stopped for a brief minute to give way to an ambulance while he was travelling from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. This happened when he was on his way to the Raj Bhavan in Gandhinagar after finishing his public rally on Friday afternoon. Bulldozers rolled out in Noida's Grand Amac Society over encroachments into common spaces by several apartment owners. This is the same society where a spat between Shrikant Tyagi and another resident over the same issue had triggered a major row last month. Madras High Court has directed Stalin government to grant permission to the RSS to organize a march on November 6. The High Court has also made it clear that authorities will face contempt action if they violate this order. The Tamil Nadu government had earlier denied permission to the RSS for holding a march on October 2, citing law and order issues. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra entered Karnataka today. The 21-day Karnataka leg will cover 7 districts and 511 kilometers before entering Telangana. A major terror bid was foiled by the armed forces in Jammu and Kashmir. Terrorists who came to disrupt the ongoing Agniveer Army rally in Baramulla district were killed in an encounter. Both the terrorists were linked with Jaish-e-Mohammed. Images of Richa Chadda and Ali Faisal's pre-wedding celebrations from Delhi are out. Remember, the couple is all set to tie the knot on October 4. Ukraine has claimed that a Russian missile attack on Zaporizhzhia has killed at least 25 people in a humanitarian convoy and wounded dozens of others. The convoy of civilian vehicles had assembled in Kyiv on Friday, preparing to leave the area. They were planning to visit relatives and deliver supplies to an area controlled by Russia when it was allegedly hit. Meanwhile, Moscow has annexed 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine today. The move was widely expected following annexation votes that ended on Tuesday in the 4 regions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres stated that the annexation has no place in the modern world, but this follows Russia's pattern of hostile takeovers. Remember, the same thing happened in Crimea in 2014. An explosion at an education institute in Kabul killed over 19 and injured over 30. A witness claimed that a suicide attacker detonated explosives at the center. There were no immediate claims of responsibility for the attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated a slew of projects.
Welcome back. So it's official. It is Mallikarjun Kharge versus Shashi Tharoor for the fight in that contest that is happening for the top job in the Congress party. Let's do a SWOT analysis of these two candidates. Mallikarjun Kharge, what is his strength? He is seen as a Gandhi family loyalist, someone who can be trusted by the Gandhis blindly. He's 80 years old and has a vast administrative experience. His weakness is that his age is not on his side. He is 80 years old and outside Karnataka, he doesn't really have connect. Remember, in Karnataka though, he has won multiple elections when he was serving as an MLA consecutively for almost 9 times. What is his opportunity? The upcoming Karnataka elections, which will happen next year, if he actually manages to win the state, but let's not forget that in the state of Karnataka, the leadership debate is almost settled in favor of Mr. Siddaramaiah, who remains the most popular leader of the Congress party in the state. Now, the threat is that he is going to be seen as someone who is controlled by the Gandhis. So, the remote control will be with 10 Janpad. Now, let's take a look at Shashi Tharoor. What is working for Dr. Tharoor? Dr. Tharoor is seen as articulate. He has an appeal among the urban voters, particularly the upwardly mobile. The weakness is that he doesn't have a mass connect. He lacks also the organizational experience, while Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge has led the party in several states, in the sense that he has been Congress in charge of states as well. So he has managed those nuances that is needed in terms of organizational management. Opportunity certainly for Dr. Tharoor is that he can bring in that fresh start, a reset that the Congress party desperately needs at this point. But the threat is that he had to quit as MOS because he faced an inquiry over his wife's death. So opportunity and threat, we have seen all in the case of Mr. Shashi Tharoor. So it's Shashi Tharoor versus Mallikarjun Kharge for who will be the boss of the Congress party. Let me take all questions now to a member of the G23, Prithviraj Chavan, who's joining me live. Mr. Chavan, really appreciate your time. You have been one of the proposers for Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. What made you come for the nominations?
I did 2 things, Look at the totality of the situation, after 22 years, Congress party is having election for the post of position, for the post of president. This is precisely what we had underlined in a letter written in August of 2020, that there should be a full-time Congress president and Congress president should be elected as per the Congress constitution. Now this demand was asked, and after this demand was accepted by Mrs. Gandhi. In background of the COVID, it could not happen immediately, but after a letter, she invited some of us, and we had a 5-hour-long meeting at her residence in December of 2020. Unfortunately, 21 was a blank year, nothing could be done. And early 22, she had promised a shibir. The shibir happened in Udaipur. And soon after that, the election process got underway. The block committees were constituted, the district committees were constituted, the Pradesh delegates were selected. And finally, the dates for the Congress president's election were announced. So what was promised for a long time actually happened. Even when question was asked whether Rahul Gandhi should become the president, I had very publicly, while thanking Mrs. Gandhi for calling election, said that even if Mr. Rahul Gandhi wants to contest the election through a balloting process, he is most welcome. Till yesterday, there were 2-3 names doing rounds. Mr. Shashi Tharoor did meet some of us, but he had not very clearly indicated he is actually going ahead. There was Manish Tiwari was considering whether he should join the fray. There were other people. I think the names of Ashok Gehlot came forward, and we all were willing to support him openly, but then things went awry. Then Mukul Wasnik was a senior leader. He came in, but he opted out. Digvijaya Singh said that he was contesting. That this morning the picture became clear that everybody else had opted out. Mr. Kharge became the front runner. Now, Mr. Kharge called all of us and requested support of his nomination, and I think he generally fulfills all the requirements of a Congress president of being having won elections and having worked in the organization. He is a candidate option, so I think we decided to support him.
Okay, Mr. Chavan, you have a member of G23 in this contest, that is Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who has taken a line similar to all of you. But we are seeing this backing that is coming in from the members of the G23 for Mallikarjun Kharge. Many are seeing him being a Gandhi pick. So why are you backing him instead of one of your own?
No, it was never against Gandhis or anything like that. That was a media creation. All our demand, the minimum demand that we had in that letter, and we continue to press that demand, was a full-time Congress president elected by an election process. Now, don't read anything more into it. It is definitely not against anybody, but a free and fair election as per the Congress constitution. That is a big victory. It has not happened for the last 22 years. And so I think let's not jump to the conclusion that things will not improve after that. Congress party will, after a very long time, get a full-time president. Mrs. Gandhi was a full-time president, but after she retired from politics, and after Mr. Gandhi also resigned suddenly, there was no full-time president at all. So that is a major demand which is accepted, and not just another appointed full-time president, but a president who is elected by the general body of the Congress party. Almost 9,000 members will vote on 17th to elect a new president.
Since you're saying that this entire election process is free and fair, you're calling it historic as well, and you're saying this is not selection but election, then are you of the opinion that Dr. Shashi Tharoor should also opt out of this race? Perhaps withdraw his nomination before 8th, that is the last day of withdrawing the nomination?
No, neither has he asked me, nor if he asks me, I will not tell him that. If he thinks that he has no chance of getting elected, it's his choice. But I think it's a very good thing that election is happening. We are going to cast our ballot, cast our vote on the 17th of next month. It's a very, very big thing, 22 years. I mean, it's a sign of party being vibrant again and determined to fight BJP. Why should we always think negatively that things will not go right? Or
All right.
It will be somebody else will control the party. No,
Fine enough.
Mr. Kharge is a very, very senior member of the Congress party.
Fine enough. Mr. Chavan, my last question to you. How do you look at this entire episode that has happened in the context of Mr. Ashok Gehlot and Rajasthan?
Well, I think it was very unfortunate, could have been avoided. Whenever a question mark appears or comes before who the leader of the legislative party, state legislative party is, a time-honored tradition is the Congress High Command or the Congress President sends the General Secretary in charge of the state and maybe one or two other additional observers or some advisors to a state. They asked to meet the MLAs, and CLP meeting of the Congress Legislative Party was organized. Unfortunately, the MLAs there defied that request, and they should have met the observers and they should have given their frank and fair opinion, frank and fair views, that they did not want a change in the leadership, that they wanted a particular person, they did not want a particular person, but that did not happen. So it tantamount to indiscipline, and that's why Mr. Ashok Gehlot apologized, because he was the leader of the legislative party and his party members did not behave as per the Congress discipline. So that's why he also opted out. We had publicly agreed to support him if he was the Congress candidate. He was the candidate for the election, but unfortunately he withdrew. After that, Mr. Mukul Vasnik's name also floated around. We would have supported him also, the young colleague from Maharashtra. Then Mr. Digvijaya Singh, we saw on the television that he had wanted to contest the election. So again, so many people wanting to contest the election was a very healthy tradition being revived after a very long time. We had only read in history books about Purushottam Das Tandon and about Subhash Babu and Mahatma Gandhi's role and all that thing. And there have been active elections being fought, and after the election there was bitterness for some time, but that was patched over. And so nothing wrong with there's a well contested election. It shouldn't lead to bitterness and personal animosity, but a well contested election, yes, she is very free to make the points that he's been making in our group and our meets. And I think it's a big victory, big win for us that the election is happening is a big thing in itself after 22 years.
All right, Mr. Chairman, really appreciate your time. Does it actually mean now that there will be no G23 anymore after several members of the G23 were actually seen as proposers for Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge? Several twists and turns that we have seen on this story finally coming to an end. And what happens on 8th? Will Dr. Shashi Tharoor continue with the contest, or will he withdraw his nominations? That and much more we'll continue to track very closely. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching.
किया जा रहा है जो ग्लोबल बिजनेस डिमांड के अनुसार तैयार हो रहे हैं.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's convoy stopped for a brief minute to give way to an ambulance while he was travelling from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. This happened when he was on his way to the Raj Bhavan in Gandhinagar after finishing his public rally on Friday afternoon. Bulldozers rolled out in Noida's Grand Amax Society over encroachments into common spaces by several apartment owners. This is the same society where a spat between Shrikant Tyagi and another resident over the same issue had triggered a major row last month. Madras High Court has directed Stalin government to grant permission to the RSS to organize a march on November 6. The High Court has also made it clear that authorities will face contempt action if they violate this order. The Tamil Nadu government had earlier denied permission to the RSS for holding a march on October 2, citing law and order issues. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra entered Karnataka today. The 21-day Karnataka leg will cover 7 districts and 511 kilometers before entering Telangana. A major terror bid was foiled by the armed forces in Jammu and Kashmir. Terrorists who came to disrupt the ongoing Agniveer Army rally in Baramulla district were killed in an encounter. Both the terrorists were linked with Jaish-e-Mohammed. Images of Richa Chadda and Ali Faisal's pre-wedding celebrations from Delhi are out. Remember, the couple is all set to tie the knot on October 4. Ukraine has claimed that a Russian missile attack on Zaporizhzhia has killed at least 25 people in a humanitarian convoy and wounded dozens of others. The convoy of civilian vehicles had assembled in Kyiv on Friday, preparing to leave the area. They were planning to visit relatives and deliver supplies to an area controlled by Russia when it was allegedly hit. Meanwhile, Moscow has annexed 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine today. The move was widely expected following annexation votes that ended on Tuesday in the 4 regions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres stated that the annexation has no place in the modern world, but this follows Russia's pattern of hostile takeovers. Remember, the same thing happened in Crimea in 2014. An explosion at an education institute in Kabul killed over 19 and injured over 30. A witness claimed that a suicide attacker detonated explosives at the center. There were no immediate claims of responsibility for the attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated a slew of projects earlier in his home state. He flagged off Vande Bharat Express. The train will be connecting the state capitals of Gujarat and Maharashtra and will run 6 days a week. On his 2-day visit to Gujarat, he also inaugurated phase 1 of the Ahmedabad Metro Rail project.
देश के 2 दर्जन से ज्यादा शहरों में मेट्रो या तो शुरू हो चुकी है या फिर तेजी से काम चल रहा है। पुराने शहरों में
Convenient political argument that because PFI has been banned, so RSS must also be banned. After coming to power in 2013, Siddaramaiah government approved the dropping of 176 cases filed against 1,600 PFI activists.
You cannot, on the one hand, empower a nation with F-16s for anti-terror ops, while saying, hey, we found you patronizing Ayman al-Zawahiri. The Haqqani network has been propped up as 50% of the government in Taliban in Afghanistan by Pakistanis.
The Congress High Command completely underestimated how much support Ashok Gehlot has within the legislature party and completely overestimated Sachin Pilot's support within the CLP.
Central Bureau of Investigation arrested Vijay Nair, close aide of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. And as per the agency, Vijay Nair received 6% commission from liquor barons. Can the Aam Aadmi Party continue to call this witch hunt or vendetta?
And Ali Faisal's pre-wedding celebrations from Delhi are out. Remember, the couple is all set to tie the knot on October 4. Ukraine has claimed that a Russian missile attack on Zaporizhzhia has killed at least 25 people in a humanitarian convoy and wounded dozens of others. The convoy of civilian vehicles had assembled in Kyiv on Friday, preparing to leave the area. They were planning to visit relatives and deliver supplies to an area controlled by Russia when it was allegedly hit. Meanwhile, Moscow has annexed 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine today. The move was widely expected following annexation votes that ended on Tuesday in the 4 regions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres stated that the annexation has no place in the modern world, but this follows Russia's pattern of hostile takeovers. Remember, the same thing happened in Crimea in 2014. An explosion at an education institute in Kabul killed over 19 and injured over 30. A witness claimed that a suicide attacker detonated explosives at the center. There were no immediate claims of responsibility for the attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated a slew of projects earlier in his home state. He flagged off Vande Bharat Express. The train will be connecting the state capitals of Gujarat and Maharashtra and will run 6 days a week. On his two-day visit to Gujarat, he also inaugurated phase 1 of the Ahmedabad Metro Rail project.
देश के 2 दर्जन से ज्यादा शहरों में मेट्रो या तो शुरू हो चुकी है या फिर तेजी से काम चल रहा है। पुराने शहरों में सुधार और उनके विस्तार पर फोकस के साथ-साथ ऐसे नए शहरों का निर्माण भी किया जा रहा है जो ग्लोबल बिजनेस डिमांड के अनुसार तैयार हो रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's convoy stopped for a brief minute to give way to an ambulance while he was travelling from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. This happened when he was on his way to the Raj Bhavan in Gandhinagar after finishing his public rally on Friday afternoon. Bulldozers rolled out in Noida's Grand Amax Society over encroachments into common spaces by several apartment owners. This is the same society where a spat between Shrikant Tyagi and another resident over the same issue had triggered a major row last month. Madras High Court has directed Stalin government to grant permission to the RSS to organize a march on November 6. The High Court has also made it clear that authorities will face contempt action if they violate this order. The Tamil Nadu government had earlier denied permission to the RSS for holding a march on October 2, citing law and order issues. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra entered Karnataka today. The 21-day Karnataka leg will cover 7 districts and 511 kilometers before entering Telangana. A major terror bid was foiled by the armed forces in Jammu and Kashmir. Terrorists who came to disrupt the ongoing Agniveer Army rally in Baramulla district were killed in an encounter. Both the terrorists were linked with Jaish-e-Mohammed. Images of Richa Chadda and Ali Faisal's pre-wedding celebrations from Delhi are out. Remember, the couple is all set to tie the knot on October 4. Ukraine has claimed that a Russian missile attack on Zaporizhzhia has killed at least 25 people in a humanitarian convoy and wounded dozens of others. The convoy of civilian vehicles had assembled in Kyiv on Friday, preparing to leave the area. They were planning to visit relatives and deliver supplies to an area controlled by Russia when it was allegedly hit. Meanwhile, Moscow has annexed 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine today. The move was widely expected following annexation votes that ended on Tuesday in the 4 regions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres
Hello and welcome to the late night edition with me, Ayushman Singh Jamwal. Breaking news coming in at the top of the bulletin. This concerning our top international story, that is Vladimir Putin's move to annex 4 regions of Russia. Now, after Russia formally annexed those 4 regions of Ukraine, which are the Luhansk region and the Donetsk region, which are now part of the Russian Federation, Kherson and Zaporizhzhia have become independent territories. That is the declaration which came in from Vladimir Putin. Now, Vladimir Putin has said that the West containment conspiracy has been foiled by the Russian Federation. Remember, referendums took place in the 4 regions on Tuesday. Moscow-backed local officials claimed residents overwhelmingly voted in favor of joining Russia, which is being touted as a sham by the West. Putin said that people have made their choice clear, calling it the will of millions. The United Nations has said the annexations have no place in the modern world, but this follows Russia's pattern of hostile takeovers, as the same thing happened in Crimea in 2014.
Spiritual ties was passed through generations. People brought through years this feeling to Russia, and nobody can destroy this feeling. This is why older people and young people, those who were born after the collapse of the Soviet Union, voted for our joint future in 1991 in Beloversk Pushcha. The representatives of the party elites made a decision, and people ended up torn apart. It became a national catastrophe, same as some time ago after the revolution. The republics were cut artificially.
Breaking news coming in, and this is the diplomatic fallout of Putin's move. Now, the United States has announced severe new sanctions against Russian officials and the defense industry in Russia. The Biden administration says the G7 will impose costs on any country supporting Russia's annexation attempts. NATO Secretary General has also said the referendums were engineered in Moscow and imposed on Ukraine in total violation of international law. The land grab is illegal and illegitimate. That's the pitch coming in from NATO as well. I'm joined by my colleague Abhishek Jha to get more when it comes to this entire diplomatic firestorm that has been created by Putin's move. Abhishek, these statements coming in from the Western powers, we've heard these before, but do you feel that the Western response to Russia has been hamstrung by the fact that a majority of the G7 nations depend on Russian energy?
Of course, the Russian energy supplies to Europe has been one big roadblock in a unified response to Russia's aggression towards Ukraine, because the European countries, they have their own energy interests, and with the upcoming winter and the prices of energy soaring by almost 100% in many parts of Europe, this has been a domestic issue as well, and hence they have not been able to put that collective fight against Russia with Ukraine that could have come as a force of NATO allies. Meanwhile, the latest slew of measures that the European nations or European Council have announced are going to have more restrictions, sanctions on individuals, Russian entities, and Russia as a country. But will these be able to help Ukraine take those states or those regions which Russia has now called a larger part of Russia? That remains a big question. How Ukraine or how Kyiv is going to reclaim those lost territories of Zaporozhye, Luhansk, Donetsk, and Kherson from the Russian forces, that will always remain a issue, because Russia has now claimed sovereignty on this region, and they have said that any attempt on these region will be taken as a breach of sovereignty to Russia.
Right. Thank you, Abhishek, for joining us on the broadcast with that piece of breaking news. More breaking news coming in, and this is the pitch that was made by Vladimir Putin, who called for a restart of negotiations with Ukraine. But this is the reaction coming in from the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. He has rejected the restart of talks. Zelensky says peaceful coexistence is impossible with the current Russian president. Vladimir Putin sending that message to the Putin regime. I'm joined by Sanjay Suri, who's reporting live from Kharkiv. Sanjay, what is the latest from ground zero? And secondly, how is this move which has come in from the Putin regime being seen by the Ukrainians? Namely because, do you feel that this move to annex these 4 regions has come in a bid to take control of the narrative because of the gains that have been made by the Ukrainian forces in the conflict?
Well, to begin with, ground zero, as you can see, is in total darkness. I'm in the heart of Kharkiv, and it's not that I've picked a dark place to speak with you. The whole city is blacked out. There is no life, there is no light in this city. And that, in a way, answers some of the questions that you raised. If this is the extent of the abnormality that Ukraine is living with, it's going to be very difficult for Ukraine to then talk peace with Russia. The city, Kharkiv, has been devastated. Every major city has been hit. Kiev, Bucha, Zaporizhia, Kherson. Given all this assault and given the level of the destruction, it's hardly likely that a Ukrainian leader or the Ukrainian people will want their leader to talk peace with Putin. Zelensky has put it quite plainly that there can be no negotiations with Putin. And this is a sentiment around the country. And this is a sentiment that has been forced upon people given the circumstances they are living in. They've been bombed day in and day out. There have been hundreds and hundreds killed in these attacks, many more hundreds injured. And what was their country has been captured, partly, not entirely, by Russia. The position is not entirely clear, because even in some of these supposedly occupied territories, there are very large pockets that are still in Ukrainian hands. And therefore, it's going to be very difficult for Russia to have complete control, even on the areas it claims.
Right. So it's difficult for Russia to have complete control. That is the pitch coming in from ground zero because of the gains that have been made by the Ukrainian forces. But still, that diplomatic firestorm has been sparked by Vladimir Putin after the annexation of those 4 regions. Thank you, Sanjay, for joining us on the broadcast. Please stay safe as you're reporting more details coming in from Kharkiv. Now, meanwhile, this is the situation inside Russia. More than 2 lakh people have traveled from Russia to Georgia, to Kazakhstan, and even the European Union since President Vladimir Putin announced the conscription of Russian citizens into the war in Ukraine. Now, CNN's Melissa Bell gets us this report from the Russia-Georgia border.
The pass too narrow for the sheer numbers trying to flee. It's been more than a week since President Vladimir Putin announced the partial mobilization. For many, that's how long it's taken to get here. Everything is fine, says 10-year-old Grisha, whose father explains he didn't want to pick up a gun just to live in peace with his family. But first, they had to get through a traffic jam a dozen miles long. Impressive even from space, but horrendous for those trying to get through the gorge and its tunnels. On foot for some, but most packing their families into cars as soon as they heard they might have to go to war. Arriving at last through the Lars crossing and into the safety of Georgia. The feeling? Freedom, says Evgeny, an indescribable feeling. For 5 days, we didn't know if they would release us from Russia or not. This family spent more than a week getting here from Dagestan. Abdullah Islamov says the men there are being rounded up whether or not they're eligible to fight. Nobody attacked Russia, he says. Acting out of oligarchic ambitions, they found some so-called neo-Nazis in Ukraine. Let the oligarchs go to war first. In the meantime, Abdullah says he'll keep his sons on the Georgian side of the border so they can live and take care of their own.
Shifting focus now, more breaking news coming in. The head of the All India Imam organization, Umair Ahmad Ilyasi, has filed a police complaint after receiving death threats from abroad and within India for calling RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat Rashtrapita. He has been receiving these threats from the 22nd of September. The one caller from England even made the Sartan se juda threat to the senior cleric. RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat was invited by Ilyasi last week to hold talks amid Bhagwat's outreach to Muslim leaders. That's the piece of breaking news that's coming in. So the senior cleric has been receiving death threats, and his crime is that he called RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat Rashtrapita. I'm joined by my colleague Akash Sharma to get more details. Akash, over to you.
So you see, Umar Ahmad Ilyasi is the head of All India Imam organization, and just a few days back he met Mohan Bhagwat. And at that time, he called Mohan Bhagwat as Rashtrapita, and, it sparked controversies. And, soon after that, he started receiving these threats. And now we are learning that he has got a threat from England, where a suspect named Sohail is, giving him a threat for Sartan se juda. And we have seen these threats in the past few months as well, where, after Nupur Sharma's controversy, this was the very, very same phrase that used to be in the headlines. But as of now, this is something serious, where this cleric has received this threat, and he has raised this complaint to Tilak Marg police station, and police as of now is investigating the case. But it is something very serious that after his meeting with Mohan Bhagwat, first the controversy related to the Rashtrapita comment, and now this Sartan se juda controversy.
Right. Thank you, Akash, for joining us on the broadcast with that piece of breaking news. Now, getting you a wrap of all the other news which happened today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated a slew of projects in Gujarat today as well. He flagged off the Vande Bharat Express. The train will be connecting the state capitals of Gujarat and Maharashtra and will run 6 days a week. On his 2-day visit to Gujarat, Prime Minister Modi also inaugurated phase 1 of the Ahmedabad Metro Rail project.
देश के 2 दर्जन से ज्यादा शहरों में मेट्रो या तो शुरू हो चुकी है या फिर तेजी से काम चल रहा। पुराने शहरों में सुधार और उनके विस्तार पर फोकस के साथ-साथ ऐसे नए शहरों का निर्माण भी किया जा रहा है जो ग्लोबल बिजनेस डिमांड के अनुसार तैयार हो रहे हैं।
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi's convoy stopped briefly to give way to an ambulance while moving from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. The incident took place when the Prime Minister was on his way to Raj Bhavan in Gandhinagar after finishing his public rally. Bulldozers rolled into Noida's Grand Omax Society over encroachments into common spaces by several apartment owners. This is the same society where a spat between Shrikant Tyagi and another resident over the same issue had triggered a major row last month. The Madras High Court has directed the Stalin government to grant permission to the RSS to organize a march on November 6th. The High Court has also made it clear that authorities will face contempt proceedings if they violate the order. The Tamil Nadu government earlier denied permission to the RSS, citing law and order issues. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra entered Karnataka today. The 21-day Karnataka leg of the Yatra will be covering 7 districts and over 500 kilometers before entering Telangana. Crackdown on terror continues in Jammu and Kashmir. 2 terrorists who aim to disrupt the ongoing Agniveer rally in the Baramulla district were killed in an encounter. Both the terrorists were linked to the terror outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed. And images of Richa Chadda and Ali Fazl's pre-wedding celebrations from Delhi are out. The couple is all set to tie the knot on October 4th. And more breaking news coming in the wake of the shocking Jubilee Hills rape case. The Juvenile Justice Board, in its preliminary assessment order, has said that 4 of the 5 juveniles can be tried as adults. The board says they can be tried in a regular POCSO court as the crime committed by them is heinous. The 5th juvenile cannot be tried because he is not involved in the rape of the minor girl. That's the pitch coming in from the Juvenile Justice Board. I'm joined by my colleague Swastika Das. So Swastika, a huge turning point in this gruesome case that has come in from Hyderabad.
A significant order from the Juvenile Justice Board and also something that was on the expected lines, considering that the Hyderabad police had been petitioning this for a long time with the backing from the TRS government. Well, the fact is that the 5th juvenile in this case, who is an MLA's son, assessment was not conducted for him as the offense alleged against him aren't heinous, because as you rightly pointed out, he was there in the car in which the victim was taken to the location where she was manhandled and sexually abused, but he was not part of the entire act altogether. Now, 3 main criteria that determine when juveniles can be treated as adults. Rare case, but in this particular case, their mental and physical capacity to commit the offense, the ability to understand the consequences, and the circumstances in which they did the offense. So under all of these subsections and criteria stipulated in the amended Juvenile Justice Act, it has been said that all the 4 accused will be tried as adults. That means that they can be put forth in a POCSO court, which means that they will have to now come up from a legal point of view. It is also important to recall that there is much outrage since all in the particular gang rape case are currently on bail. And what we know is that they've already started holding legal discussions with their respective teams to come up with a big front, since the Hyderabad police has been pursuing this case quite aggressively.
Right. Thank you, Swastika, for joining us on the broadcast with that piece of breaking news. So a significant development in a gruesome crime that has taken place in the state of Telangana, in the city of Hyderabad. We're going to take a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Issue had triggered a major row last month. Madras High Court has directed Stalin government to grant permission to the RSS to organize a march on November 6th. The High Court has also made it clear that authorities will face contempt action if they violate this order. The Tamil Nadu government had earlier denied permission to the RSS for holding a march on October 2, citing law and order issues. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra entered Karnataka today. The 21-day Karnataka leg will cover 7 districts and 511 kilometers before entering Telangana. A major terror bid was foiled by the armed forces in Jammu and Kashmir. Terrorists who came to disrupt the ongoing Agniveer army rally in Baramulla district were killed in an encounter. Both the terrorists were linked with Jaish-e-Mohammed. Images of Richa Chadda and Ali Fazl's pre-wedding celebrations from Delhi are out. Remember, the couple is all set to tie the knot on October 4. Ukraine has claimed that a Russian missile attack on Zaporizhzhia has killed at least 25 people in a humanitarian convoy and wounded dozens of others. The convoy of civilian vehicles had assembled in Kyiv on Friday, preparing to leave the area. They were planning to visit relatives and deliver supplies to an area controlled by Russia when it was allegedly hit. Meanwhile, Moscow has annexed 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine today. The move was widely expected following annexation votes that ended on Tuesday in the 4 regions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres stated that the annexation has no place in the modern world, but this follows Russia's pattern of hostile takeovers. Remember, the same thing happened in Crimea in 2014. An explosion at an education institute in Kabul killed over 19 and injured over 30. A witness claimed that a suicide attacker detonated explosives at the center. There were no immediate claims of responsibility for the attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated a slew of projects earlier in his home state. He flagged off Vande Bharat Express. The train will be connecting the state capitals of Gujarat and Maharashtra and will run 6 days a week. On his 2-day visit to Gujarat, he also inaugurated phase 1 of the Ahmedabad Metro Rail project.
देश के 2 दर्जन से ज्यादा शहरों में मेट्रो या तो शुरू हो चुकी है या फिर तेजी से काम चल रहा है। पुराने शहरों में सुधार और उनके विस्तार पर फोकस के साथ-साथ ऐसे नए शहरों का निर्माण भी किया जा रहा है जो ग्लोबल बिजनेस डिमांड के अनुसार तैयार हो रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's convoy stopped for a brief minute to give way to an ambulance while he was travelling from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. This happened when he was on his way to the Raj Bhavan in Gandhinagar after finishing his public rally on Friday afternoon. Bulldozers rolled out in Noida's Grand Amac Society over encroachments into common spaces by several apartment owners. This is the same society where a spat between Shrikant Tyagi and another resident over the same issue had triggered a major row last month. Madras High Court has directed Stalin government to grant permission to the RSS to organize a march on November 6. The High Court has also made it clear that authorities will face contempt action if they violate this order. The Tamil Nadu government had earlier denied permission to the RSS for holding a march on October 2, citing law and order issues. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra entered Karnataka today. The 21-day Karnataka leg will cover 7 districts and 511 kilometers before entering Telangana. A major terror bid was foiled by the armed forces in Jammu and Kashmir. Terrorists who came to disrupt the ongoing Agniveer Army rally in Baramulla district were killed in an encounter. Both the terrorists were linked with Jaish-e-Mohammed. Images of Richa Chadda and Ali Faisal's pre-wedding celebrations from Delhi are out. Remember, the couple is all set to tie the knot on October 4. Ukraine has claimed that a Russian missile attack on Zaporizhzhia has killed at least 25 people in a humanitarian convoy and wounded dozens of others. The convoy of civilian vehicles had assembled in Kyiv on Friday, preparing to leave the area. They were planning to visit relatives and deliver supplies to an area controlled by Russia when it was allegedly hit. Meanwhile, Moscow has annexed 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine today. The move was widely expected following annexation votes that ended on Tuesday in the 4 regions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres stated that the annexation has no place in the modern world, but this follows Russia's pattern of hostile takeovers. Remember, the same thing happened in Crimea in 2014. An explosion at an education institute in Kabul killed over 19 and injured over 30. A witness claimed that a suicide attacker detonated explosives at the center.
Welcome back. Shifting focus to the United States, Hurricane Ian is set to become the largest natural disaster in Florida's history. At least 19 people have been killed and search and rescue efforts are still underway in the affected areas. Now, the storm has its sights set on the Carolinas. CNN's Ivan Rodriguez gets us this ground report from Florida's Fort Myers.
In Fort Myers, people are still coming to grips with all the destruction left behind by Hurricane Ian. We know that here in Charlotte County, there are at least 10 storm-related deaths behind me. You can see some of the destruction. Boats that were once on water pushed onto land.
Some of these images that you're showing me, it's the first time I've seen them. It's pretty emotional for me.
2 days after Hurricane Ian slammed into Florida's southwest coast, and many are only just beginning to grapple with the damage and devastation left behind.
Being so hardworking honestly doesn't matter. It just is destroyed and it's ruined, and then you have to start all over again. And honestly, where do you start? How do you start in this?
Millions are still without power and others still with no access to clean water.
It looks like a bomb went off here, to be honest with you. It's beyond what I thought was capable of happening.
Hundreds have had to be rescued so far, plucked from roofs and partially submerged cars. Those on islands like Sanibel cut off from the mainland after the causeway collapsed, needing rescue by helicopter or boat.
There's a whole bunch of people just like y'all, thousands of them, take you to a shelter.
Now, Ian is expected to head toward the Carolinas and northeast Georgia after intensifying again to a Category 1 hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean. Those governors have issued state of emergency orders ahead of the storm, and many residents are being told to hunker down.
It's going to be a little bit hairy. 6-foot surge, with a 6-foot tide, we're going to be at 12 feet. That's about the maximum a lot of houses out here can take on the first floor.
We're also hearing from people who say they are devastated, some of them saying that the destruction was so bad that they are now homeless. We're also hearing from the Florida State Marshal, who says this could be the largest natural disaster in Florida state history.
We have to back in on the show. Good night and take care and have a nice weekend.
Is this just a convenient political argument that because PFI has been banned, so RSS must also be banned? After coming to power in 2013, Siddaramaiah government approved the dropping of 176 cases filed against 1,600 PFI activists.
You cannot, on the one hand, empower a nation with F-16s for anti-terror ops, while saying, hey, we found you patronizing Ayman al-Zawahiri. The Haqqani network has been propped up as 50% of the government and Taliban in Afghanistan by Pakistanis.
The Congress High Command completely underestimated how much support Ashok Gehlot has within the legislature party and completely overestimated Sachin Pilot's support within the CLP.
Central Bureau of Investigation arrested Vijay Nair, close aide of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. And as per the agency, Vijay Nair received 6% commission from liquor barons. Can the Aam Aadmi Party continue to call this witch hunt or vendetta?
One of the Ahmedabad Metro Rail project.
देश के 2 दर्जन से ज्यादा शहरों में मेट्रो या तो शुरू हो चुकी है या फिर तेजी से काम चल रहा है। पुराने शहरों में सुधार और उनके विस्तार पर फोकस के साथ-साथ ऐसे नए शहरों का निर्माण भी किया जा रहा है जो ग्लोबल बिजनेस डिमांड के अनुसार तैयार हो रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's convoy stopped for a brief minute to give way to an ambulance while he was travelling from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. This happened when he was on his way to the Raj Bhavan in Gandhinagar after finishing his public rally on Friday afternoon. Bulldozers rolled out in Noida's Grand Amax Society over encroachments into common spaces by several apartment owners. This is the same society where a spat between Shrikant Tyagi and another resident over the same issue had triggered a major row last month. Madras High Court has directed Stalin government to grant permission to the RSS to organize a march on November 6. The High Court has also made it clear that authorities will face contempt action if they violate this order. The Tamil Nadu government had earlier denied permission to the RSS for holding a march on October 2, citing law and order issues. Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra entered Karnataka today. The 21-day Karnataka leg will cover 7 districts and 511 kilometers before entering Telangana. A major terror bid was foiled by the armed forces in Jammu and Kashmir. Terrorists who came to disrupt the ongoing Agniveer Army rally in Baramulla district were killed in an encounter. Both the terrorists were linked with Jaish-e-Mohammed. Images of Richa Chadda and Ali Faisal's pre-wedding celebrations from Delhi are out. Remember, the couple is all set to tie the knot on October 4. Ukraine has claimed that a Russian missile attack on Zaporizhzhia has killed at least 25 people in a humanitarian convoy and wounded dozens of others. The convoy of civilian vehicles had assembled in Kyiv on Friday, preparing to leave the area. They were planning to visit relatives and deliver supplies to an area controlled by Russia when it was allegedly hit. Meanwhile, Moscow has annexed 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine today. The move was widely expected following annexation votes that ended on Tuesday in the 4 regions. UN Chief Antonio Guterres stated that the annexation has no place in the modern world, but this follows Russia's pattern of hostile takeovers. Remember, the same thing happened in Crimea in 2014. An explosion at an education institute in Kabul killed over 19 and injured over 30. A witness claimed that a suicide attacker detonated explosives at the center. There were no immediate claims of responsibility for the attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also inaugurated a slew of projects earlier in his home state. He flagged off Vande Bharat Express. The train will be connecting the state capitals of Gujarat and Maharashtra and will run 6 days a week. On his 2-day visit to Gujarat, he also inaugurated phase 1 of the Ahmedabad Metro Rail project.
देश के 2 दर्जन से ज्यादा शहरों में मेट्रो या तो शुरू हो चुकी है या फिर तेजी से काम चल रहा है। पुराने शहरों में सुधार और उनके विस्तार पर फोकस के साथ-साथ ऐसे नए शहरों का निर्माण भी किया जा रहा है जो ग्लोबल बिजनेस डिमांड के अनुसार तैयार हो रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's convoy stopped for a brief minute to give way to an ambulance while he was travelling from Ahmedabad to Gandhinagar. This happened when he was on his way to the Raj Bhavan in Gandhinagar after finishing his public rally on Friday afternoon.
Hello and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Zakir Jacob. After days of drama around the Congress presidential election, we today finally have clarity on who the contest is going to be between. It's going to be between Shashi Tharoor, who is the unofficial candidate, the rebel candidate. Some are even calling him the G23 candidate. Well, we don't even know if such a thing now exists after today's developments. And then there is the official candidate, the family candidate, the Gandhi clan-backed candidate, who is Mallikarjun Kharge. Some very, very pertinent questions arise. Mr. Kharge is being seen as the candidate who has the blessings of the family. Will any of these 9,000-odd PCC delegates dare to vote against the family? More importantly, what happens to the G23? Because everyone on the G23 side, from a Bhupinder Hooda to a Manish Tiwari, they have all been proposers of Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge's candidature. Even though Shashi Tharoor thinks that he's part of the G23, fact is that many of the G23 members have signed and proposed Mr. Kharge's name. So, the question that begs to be asked, if the point of this entire exercise was that the family will not back any candidate, it's going to be an open, free and fair election, will that come to pass? Because everyone in the Congress and everyone in the country knows that 80-year-old Mr. Kharge is the chosen one.
It's the most expected twist in the race for Congress's next president. There won't be a Gandhi in the top post for the first time in more than 20 years, but the Parivar has made sure their man is in the running. Mallikarjun Kharge, leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, and a through and through Gandhi loyalist, filed his nomination today.
मुझे जो सहकार मिला उनको, उसलिए उनका फिर एक बार मैं आभारी हूँ। कांग्रेस पार्टी के जो उसूल हैं, जो आइडियोलॉजी है, उस आइडियोलॉजी के साथ मैं बचपन से जुड़ा हूं।
From the looks of it, Congress ka haath is with Kharge. Apart from getting the Gandhis' blessings, Kharge walked into the AICC with signatures of 30 proposers, who were some of the most prominent names in the party, including Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, who was the first choice of the Gandhis for the top post up until his rebellion last week. Another proposer was Digvijaya Singh, who up until the morning of the nomination had declared that he too was in the race.
उनसे मैंने पूछा था कि आप अगर फॉर्म भर रहे हो तो मैं नहीं भरूंगा। उनका इरादा है फॉर्म भरने का, तो मैंने कहा कि ठीक है, मैं आपका प्रस्तावक बनूंगा।
Kharge will be going up against Shashi Tharoor, a 3-time member of parliament and a former union minister. Unlike Kharge, Tharur wasn't flanked by the who's who of Congress when he filed his nomination papers.
I was not prepared for the extraordinarily enthusiastic collection of Congress workers. I have a vision for the Congress, for the internal reorganization of the Congress, which I will be sending to every one of the 9,100 and odd delegates.
A Gandhi loyalist versus a member of the G23. Are the odds stacked against Shashi Tharoor?
Kharge ji will be elected. In fact, my appeal is that she should be elected unanimously.
Okay, you want Mr. Tharoor to be withdrawing from the contest?
I think it would be in the fitness of things.
Is this a democratic election to lead a party that is going through its worst ever crisis, or just a friendly fight? And at the end of the day, will the next Congress chief simply be a proxy of the Gandhi family?
I want to first go across to Pallavi Ghosh, our senior editor, who's been tracking the Congress party for a number of years now. Pallavi, initially, the whole purpose of this election was that no Gandhi should stand, and more importantly, the family should not be seen as endorsing any candidate. And up until last evening, it seemed the case. But this morning, with Mr. Kharge's candidature and Digvijaya Singh withdrawing, now it's very apparent to anyone that Mr. Kharge, and I'm not, blaming him, I'm not, chastising him. The fact is that everyone in the Congress party knows he is the quote-unquote family candidate.
Absolutely. In fact, Zaka, if you just go through a sequence of events, and the points I give out is how the process itself explains why it doesn't seem to be a real election. I mean, Mrs. Gandhi, whenever she's met any top leader, whether it's K.C. Venugopal, even Ashok Gehlot, even Shashi Tharoor, she would keep telling them, I am neutral. I don't have any favorites. I'm not approving or disapproving of anyone. You all decide who wants to contest. But the moment Ashok Gehlot, in a sense, rebelled, I think that was the time when a call was taken by Mrs. Gandhi with a very close group of leaders around her that we have to teach him a lesson. Therefore, if you remember Mukul Vasnik, on the day he goes across to meet Mr. Gehlot, he takes a message from Mrs. Gandhi to him that please do not file your nomination papers, and that is what you should be telling her. So when he finally did meet Sonia Gandhi, Mr. Gehlot himself tells her that if you don't want me to contest, I won't. She says, okay, my advice to you ideally is don't contest. So that I think that was the first step when she decided to intervene in the electoral process, and that's when the hunt began for a reliable, the right person with the right credentials. And it was after much deliberations late last night at a meeting with Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra that Mallikarjun Kharge's name was singled upon. A.K. Antony, I'm told, was supposed to go back to Kerala. He was made to stay back one extra day only so that he also signs as a proposer for Mallikarjun Kharge. So these are the events which clearly show that this is not a real election. It's all being micromanaged, it's all being planned. And if you look at what I saw through the day in AICC, there was a method in that madness. Workers coming in, the party media department organizing it, or and leaders are being asked to come in and propose his name.
No, the other question that it certainly does raise is, what happened to this G23 rebellion? I mean, every member of that G23, other than the ones who've left, from an Anand Sharma to a Bhupinder Hooda, all of them were there along with Mr. Kharge. So what happens to their rebellion?
Well, I mean, frankly speaking, Zaka, there's not much left of the G23. I think the first blow they suffered was one when Kapil Sibal left, and second when Ghulam Nabi Azad also left. And since there's been a simmering of anger within a section of the G23 leaders, and some of them are going to start getting vocal. I also think they realize that they cannot have those numbers definitely. Kharge is, was for them, a more appropriate candidate, and that's why they decided to support him and not say a Shashi Tharoor, who, if you remember, was actually initially a G23 member.
I guess, as you said, as Kumari Shelja said to you a moment ago, Mr. Tharur might even, withdraw his nomination. We'll see how this plays out. For the moment, thank you very much. Let me go across to our guest now. Guru Prakash Paswan is national spokesperson of the BJP. Mudit Agarwal is spokesperson of the Congress Party. Shipra Mathur is a senior journalist, and Kapil Madan, political analyst, joining us. Mudit Agarwal, let me start with you, because the whole point of this election was that the Gandhi family is completely staying out of it. They don't have a favorite candidate. None of their family members are going to stand for the CP's post. So it was supposedly a free and fair election. But now with Mr. Kharge, and he's an 80-year-old, it's very apparent to every congressman, every delegate of those 9,000, that Mr. Kharge is the chosen one. So what is the free and fairness in this election?
I mean, you can do whatever conjecture that you want. I mean, media has the right to do that. If you remember, Mrs. Gandhi herself has said she is going to be neutral in these elections, and she is. She does not have a candidate which she has endorsed. See, the people who can, anyone who is a Congress delegate out of 9,000 odd could file their nomination. All they needed was support of 10 delegates. Period. Shashi Tharoor ji had filed. There was never any restriction on anyone else who wanted to file. All you had to do was file a legal nomination paper. So what is the issue?
Mr. Agarwal, are you seriously telling me that all these 9,000 delegates, in fact, the lakhs of your karyakartas in the Congress party, do not know that Mr. Kharge is the chosen one of the family?
I mean, that's for you to, I mean, you can do whatever guesswork you want to do, but Mrs. Gandhi has said, and is clearly said, that I don't have a candidate in that. And I tend to believe Mrs. Gandhi on that.
No, I would have bought that narrative till last night, when the two candidates were Digvijaya Singh and Shashi Tharoor. And I don't think, to be fair to the family, I don't think they have a bone in this fight, or a dog in this fight, as it were, between Digvijaya Singh and Shashi Tharoor. But once Mr. Kharge's candidature got announced this morning as a last-minute twist, I think it's very apparent who the family is backing.
I think the problem with the media is media wants an election, which Congress party does, not for the media, but for its internal democratic system. But the problem with the media is the second.
You know, Mr. Agarwal, you can cry till the cows come home about the problem with the media. If I start talking about the problems with the Congress party, Mr. Agarwal, very humbly, very respectfully, you represent a political party. I have no qualms. I have no qualms. Sir, one second. I will give you time to respond. Give me 10 seconds. You do know that I'm one of the most fair anchors on television. Just give me 10 seconds. I have no problems the way you want to run your party. All up to you. You want to run it the way you want to run it, please run it. But in the interests of the health of India's democracy, it is important that we have a strong Congress party. And unfortunately, the Congress party had an opportunity with this election by choosing Mr. Kharge, and whether you like it or not, the message has gone down to the rank and file that Mr. Kharge is the chosen one. I think you've squandered that opportunity. That's my limited point. You are free to disagree. Like I said, it's your party. You can run it the way you want.
So at least I think Zaka is going to be democratic enough to give me at least 30 seconds to make that point and not interject.
Sure.
You see, the thing with the media is they look for elections in the Congress, which we do not to show the media, but because we are a democratic party. But the other problem with the media is media wants internal election, but also wants to judge themselves whom they want to be the Congress president. You see, this is very a funny situation. Shashi Tharoor ji is fighting and Mr. Kharge is fighting. It's for the 9,000 delegates now to decide who's going to be the president. I will really congratulate media the day they put this spotlight on BJP internal elections and actually ask BJP, why does Bangali
I'm asking now. I'm asking to Guru Prakash Paswan right now. Mr. JP Nadda, your party president. One second, let me ask him. You want me to ask this question? I'm asking him right now. In fact, I've asked every BJP spokesperson over the last week. Mr. JP Nadda is going to get his second term. He has not been elected either in the first term or in the likely second term. So what are you, the BJP, talking about internal party elections, Guru Prakash Paswan?
Zaka, I'm going to answer this question, and I'm not going to give certificates to you that whether there is a problem with the media, whether Zaka is an impartial anchor. I'm not going to make any comment on that. But Zaka, we must understand a couple of things beforehand. The ANI Digital tweeted yesterday, and Mr. Digvijaya Singh, former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, a senior leader of the Congress party, he has gone on record and said, whoever becomes Congress president will work under Gandhi family. This is something what Mr. Digvijaya Singh, a seasoned Congress leader, someone who was himself interested in becoming the president of the Congress party, has gone on record and said. So this is the state of affairs in the Congress party. As far as election in our party is concerned, I did not